Today in this video, I'm showing you how to add Google Authentication to any prototype from absolute zero. We are going into Google Cloud Console, configuring everything step by step, then building the front end. No shortcuts. If you can follow along with me, you will have working Google sign in by the end of this video. In the last video, I showed you how to build the feedback dashboard. Here is exactly what we are building together in this video. Publishing the lovable application we built using vibe coding in the last video. Before we add authentication, I need to publish this app so it has a real URL. Right now, it's just running on Lovable's preview. I'm clicking the publish here button in Lovable. It is saying there is one security scan. So I'm just clicking on that to understand what was the issue. Customer feedback exposed to public. For now, I'm ignoring this and I'm just clicking on publish. Publish anyway. I have published it, but here Lovable has an option where it could ask for a subdomain name which you could select. I had keep it as honest feedback form, and you can see and you can set whatever makes sense for your project. After clicking the publish, Lovable has built and deployed the app, and this usually take about 30 seconds to a minute for this. And if you could see, whatever we have built has been present over here. Perfect. Now I have a live URL which is honestfeedbackform.lovable.app. Let me click on it to make sure it works. Yes, there is our feedback dashboard running live on the internet. This URL is what I will use when setting up Google Authentication. The important thing is our app now has a permanent shareable link. Having a published URL makes everything feel more real to stakeholders. Instead of saying, let me show you this prototype, you can say, here is the link, try it yourself, and that act far better. Now, let's add authentication so each person sees their own personalized view. Now we are moving to the steps 2, Google Cloud Console setup. All right. So to begin with, let's start with the Google setup. I'm going to an URL console.cloud.google.com. If you don't have a Google Cloud account, just sign up with your Gmail. First thing, I need a project. For that, I am clicking on new project. Generally, with the Google Cloud Console of the free account, you could connect around 12 projects. I have already connected one, so I had remaining 11 projects remaining in my quota. I am keeping the project name as feedback auth demo. You can call whatever you feel to call that makes sense for your application. Organization, I am leaving this as no organization since this is just a prototype. Clicking create, and now we wait for a few seconds. Yeah, the project had been created. I am clicking on this. Now this is my project. Great. The project has created. Now I need to set up the auth consent screen. This is what users see when they click sign in with Google. I'm going to the search bar and typing OAuth consent screen. Here it is. I'm just going to that page. I'm starting setting up this OAuth consent screen. I'm putting my app name as honest feedback form, and user support mail, I'm using my own email address. Then I'm moving to the next step. Here it is user type. I'm choosing external because our users are not part of a Google Workspace organization. Clicking. Now I need to fill out the other information, contact information. Again, I'm providing my own mail ID. I agree. Continue. And great. When I reach it to the branding state, here you could see already the app name and user support mail, which we have filled before, has been taken care of. And app logo, I'm skipping this for now, but you can add one if you want. App domain, I'm leaving this blank for the prototype. Developer contact information, I had given my email. Now here is the important part, authorized domains. I need to add my Supabase domain. So for that, let me open my Supabase project. And to exactly get the URL, go to the project settings. Under project settings, move to data API. Here you will get the exact URL. So I'm using it. Back to Google Cloud, I am adding this domain. Remove the HTTPS part because it won't take that. If you have a production domain already, you can add that too. As I do have a production domain, I'm adding the domain of my lovable project as well. So I'm adding that as well. I'm saving it. Now, next I'm moving to the data access tab. Here you can add or remove scopes. Under the scopes, I need to add the ones that let me get the user info. Clicking add or remove scopes. I need these three: auth userinfo.email, auth userinfo.profile, and open ID. I'm adding these three and save. So with this, we are done with the consent screen. Now I need to create the auth credentials. So going back to the search tab, I'm typing credentials. So I'm selecting credentials. So create credentials, auth client ID. Application type, I'm keeping it as web application. Name, I will call it as feedback web client. Now the important part, authorized JavaScript origins. This is where my app will run from. I need both my local development URL and my published lovable URL for that. I'm adding HTTPS localhost 3000 for the local testing. And the URL of my published app. Now I'm moving forward with the authorized redirected URIs. This is crucial. This needs to be my Supabase callback URL. The format for this is something like this. And so for me, your Supabase project is something which we had here. And I'm copying it and I'm using it over here. Notice I'm not putting any local host here. This is specifically for the Supabase itself. Clicking create will create these credentials. You have to copy both the client ID and client secret. So perfect. Now Google Cloud Console setup is done. Now let's move to the Supabase configuration. I'm opening my Supabase dashboard. Now, as we have set up the Google console, now we have to set up our Supabase. So to configure Supabase, I am moving to the authentication, and in that sign in on providers. And here I am currently seeing Google has been disabled. So I'm enabling the Google provider. So after enabling that, I need to copy both my client ID as well as the client secret. I'm doing that. And here, if you can see, it has already the callback URL for the auth, which I have used it over there. So I'm saving it. After clicking save, now the Google has been enabled. One more thing, I need to set up URL configuration. Still in authentication, going to the URL configuration. So under site URL, this is where users get redirected after signing in. For local development, it will be something like localhost 3000. As I have the production URL already, I will change this to my production URL. I'm saving the changes. You can add additional redirect URLs. I will add local hosting over here. Here to make sure my local development as well works. Saving. Perfect. So this is the final Supabase setup. Let me double check everything. Google provider is enabled with my credentials. URL configuration is set with the production URL. Yeah, it is set with the production URL. And Supabase setup is complete. Now, as we have completed this setup, now the next step is adding this authentication to the app itself. Google Cloud is configured. Supabase is ready. Now, let's add the actual sign-in functionality to our app. I'm back in Lovable with our feedback app. Right now, it's just a form and dashboard, no concept of users. Here is where Lovable shines for the prototyping. Instead of writing authentication code from scratch, I'm going to describe exactly what I want. Let me break down this prompt for you. So this is the prompt which I'm going to use. Okay. And Here I'm telling Lovable add Superbase auth with both Google and email password options. Why both? Because in real companies, some people don't want to use their Google account for work tools. Always give options. Then I'm saying create new login page. I want a dedicated login screen, not a pop-up, because it feels more professional. And then I'm saying big sign in with Google button as the primary option, because that's what most people will use. But I'm also adding email and password as a backup in the secondary option. And here is the key detail I'm mentioning for email or password users. Show clear message about the email verification. This prevents support headaches. So here my support message is please check your email and verify your account before signing in for the first time. And when someone signs up with email, they need to verify first. If you don't tell them this, they will think your app is broken when they can't log in immediately. It had provided a schema. Okay, I'm approving it. Then it has asked for certain database changes. This is basically for the public dot profiles. Okay, users can view their profile. Just can insert their own profile. Okay, and it has created certain functions, database functions. I'm approving it. Now look at this. It has created the login page. It set up the Superbase auth client. And it is also saying it had added both the email and the Google flows. This would take probably 2 to 3 hours to code manually. And Lovable just did it in 30 seconds. It has also mentioned that it has redirected it to the dashboard after successful sign in. Let me test this. Clicking on sign in. Perfect, a clean interface. Google button is prominent. Email option is there, but secondary. Now, as we have the sign setup over here, now I need to create user profiles. Here is why this prompt is structured this way. Create new table user profiles. I am separating user data from Superbase built-in auth table. This gives me flexibility to store PM specific info like role and preferences and so on. And when user signs in for the first time, automatically create profile record. This is crucial. I don't want users to fill out another form after authentication. If they signed in with Google, I already have their name and photo, use it. Remember, enabling it in Google Auth console under scopes. And then add header component showing hi, name with profile photo. This makes the personalization immediately visible, and users can also read or update their own profile. I'm enabling the basic security through row level security policies, and it has asked for certain database changes based on what I had been asked for, creating the public dot user profile system and RLS policies which are related to that. I have approved the action. After I have submitted the prompt, Lovable has created the profile system, the database table, the header component, and all of that. And now I am publishing the changes. It has published the changes. Now let me test this. I'm clicking on sign in with Google. It is showing me the account. I have selected one. It has properly logged in with my Google account. And look at this. Now it has a proper header name with my name and photo. The authentication actually feels real. Let me sign out to test the full flow. Clicking log out. Good. I'm back to the login screen. Now let me sign in again. Google Flow and boom, back to the dashboard with my personalized header. Let me check what had happened in the Superbase. I'm going to the table editor. And there is the new user profiles table. And look, it automatically captured my Google name, photo URL, and set my role as PM. This is exactly what we want for user onboarding. Sometimes what I have observed is when you had given the prompt to the Lovable after the sign out, it won't redirect to the sign in page. In that case, provide a single prompt saying that, which I had mentioned, when the user click logout, it should redirect them back to the login screen. This type of guardrail instructions helps to maintain the flow properly within the application. Now, as the user profile has been set up, let's move to the next step of this application, the personal scope configuration. Here is where we make this truly personal. Right now, every PM sees all the feedback. But what if you could define exactly what you care about? For that, I'm giving this prompt. Let me explain this prompt because it is the secret in making dashboards people actually use daily. Create table user scope with columns, user ID, labels, keyword. I am letting each user define their own filter preferences. Why separate this from user profiles table? Because scope preferences might change very frequently. Someone might care about checkout issues this quarter, then switch to onboarding problems next quarter. Labels as checkboxes for bug, feature request, price, these match our AI categories. You pick which type of feedback you want to focus on. Keywords as comma separated text input. This is the power move. You can specify payment, checkout, billing, onboarding, and only see feedback mentioning those terms. Then save scope as users default filter preferences. Once you set this up, every time you open the dashboard, it automatically shows only what you care about. No more scrolling through irrelevant feedback, no more manually filtering every session. Add navigation link to profile page in header. Make it discoverable but not prominent. This is a set once, use always feature. After submitting this, Lovable has created the scope system. These are the database changes which it has mentioned around, which we had already given to it. I'm approving these database changes. Lovable has created the scope system. It has created user scopes table, profile page with labels, keyboard form, and added profile navigation to the header. So I'm publishing these changes. The changes are published. Now I'm navigating to the application, signing in with my account. Now I'm clicking on this profile page. Clean checkboxes for feedback types I care about. Keyword fields where I can specify exactly what I'm trying. Let me set this up for the typical PM scenario. I care about bug and feature request and checking price because that's nice to have, not actionable at this moment. For keywords, I'm leaving it blank at this moment and I'm saving the preferences. When I try to save the preferences, it is throwing me an error, failed to save your scope preferences. So I'm going back here and saying it is giving an error on failed to save your preferences. Check what the error is. I'm allowing Lovable to debug it. Okay, after debugging, it is mentioning that is because of a missing user ID. So I'm approving the database changes to approve it. Basically, when you are trying to build an application using the Lovable through the prompts through Lovable or Bolt or any other application, there are certain times which it will throw you the errors. The best way is to provide that error message into the prompt and asking it to fix it. In most of the cases, it will be able to understand, analyze it, and provide the solution for that. So let us see this, how this will work. I am publishing the changes again to check it in the actual app. It is publishing those changes. It has published. I'm clicking on this URL. Okay. I'm going to my profile page, selecting bug, feature request, and I'm saving my preferences. Cool. My preferences have been saved. Now let me go back to the dashboard. Okay. It has saved the preferences, but it didn't reflect that within the dashboard. So I'm again giving a prompt saying it is saving the preferences, but it is not reflecting. So let me check it how this works. Now, let me refresh this. So after giving the prompt, still it is not getting reflected on the dashboard. It started reflecting it, but what was the problem happening is here it is supporting only one type of filter. So I have also mentioned still it is not getting reflected on the dashboard. Mostly the filters are overriding it. check it. With this, what it had done was it has checked the whole code and it has identified that because it is supporting only one category, the issue is happening. Now it was supporting the multiple categories. And because of that, we are able to see that within the dashboard. Now let me click on the profile. I'm saving my scope only for the feature request. Save preferences. Now let me go back to the dashboard and watch this transformation. The metric cards now show only feedback matching my scope. This is the moment your dashboard stops being a data dump and becomes a personal workspace. Now look, instead of many pieces of feedback, I am seeing what actually matters to me, to my current focus area. Okay, now consider this. Instead of 47 total pieces of feedback that you have collected in the last week, now you will see only 4 that actually matter to your current focus area. This is what transforms how you use feedback in the meetings. Instead of saying we get lots of feedback, you can say we got 3 payment bugs this week. Here they are. Now let's move to the next step. Here is something most people get it wrong with the authenticated apps. What do non-authenticated users see? Right now, if I'm not signed in, I see nothing, and that's bad for demos. And to solve it, this prompt is all about solving the demo problem. Allow unauthenticated users to view dashboard in demo mode. Why? Because when you are showing this to stakeholders, you don't want to force them to sign in just to see what the tool does. Show banner, sign in to see your personalized metrics, creates urgency without blocking the access. Use placeholder data for demo. This is key. I want realistic sample data that shows what tool can do, but it should not be real user data. Demo mode should showcase full functionality with sample data. This means filter works, export works, everything works. The only difference is the data is not real. This approach lets stakeholder actually use the interface during your demo. They can click around, filter data and see how it behaves. It has done the changes and it is mentioning it has updated the dashboard to support demo mode for unauthenticated users. Okay, let me test this. I signed out and go back to the dashboard. Perfect. There is a banner encourage signing in, but I can still see the dashboard with the sample data. Let me test the filters. Category filters still works. Export button. This is demo gold. Stakeholders can interact with a fully functional interface without any friction. Now let me sign back to show the contrast there. So I'm signing in. Now the banner disappears and now I'm seeing real data filtered with my scope preferences. This creates a perfect user journey. See the value in demo mode, sign in for the personalized experience. Now for the really powerful part, personalized metrics. This prompt is all about making the dashboard work for how each person actually uses it. Add my metrics strip with time period toggle 7 days versus 30 days. Why these periods? Because in PM work, you are usually looking at either this week's feedback or this month's trends. 4 metric cards, news, bug, feature request, and price. These are the categories that matter most in the stakeholder conversations. Make cards clickable to filter the feedback table. This is interaction design 101. When someone sees 12 bucks this week, they immediately want to know which bucks. Click the card, table filters automatically, no separate filter step. And after I have submitted this, here is what we got. Look at this metrics card, 7-day and 30-day toggles at the top. And when I click on the bucks card, boom, the table below automatically filters to show only bugs matching my scope. This is the interaction pattern that makes dashboard feel responsive and intuitive. Let me toggle to 30 days. Watch the numbers change. This give you instant answers to questions like how many features did we get last month? No manual filtering, no spreadsheet formulas, just click and see. Now let's move to the next part. Here it would be what I would like to try over here is role-based layouts. Now here is where this gets really sophisticated because not every stakeholder needs the same level of detail. An executive wants high level trends, a PM needs granular data, same dashboard, different presentation. So for that, this is the prompt I'm using. This prompt creates two distinct experiences based on the user role in their profile. It will check the user's profile dot role to provide those experiences. If role is executive, it shows only 3 large metric cards. New bug feature request, hide price card, condensed table with max 10 items. Why hide price card for executives? Because they care about problems and opportunities, not validation. If role equals PM, show all 4 cards, full table, detailed breakdowns. PM needs to see everything because they are the ones who have to act on specific feedback. And I'm saying keep the same 3 days to 7 day toggle and scope filtering for both the roles and maintain same core functionality but adjust visual presentation and data density based on the role. I have submitted this and now let's see how it creates those experiences. It successfully has created both the experience. So now let me test this. For this, I'm signing it. Okay. Right now, I am a PM, so I see the detailed view. Let me change my role to executive in the database. For that, I'm going to the Superbase table editor and under user profiles, because I have signed it with this role, I'm changing my role as executive, exec, saving. Now I'm going back to the app. Hit refreshed and look at this transformation. Same data, but now it's executive friendly. Larger cards, cleaner layout, focused on high level numbers. The table shows only the most recent items with the essential columns, no overwhelming detail. Let me change back to the PM role. Now I'm changing back to the PM role. And now refresh. And here there is the detailed view again. This role-based approach means one tool serves multiple stakeholder types. Your engineering DPC's trends, you see actionable details, or if you wanted to include some other roles as well, you could customize it as much as you can. This is where the real magic happens and where the real prototype shines. Now, as a last piece, sometimes the AI get categorization wrong. As a PM, you need to fix it, but you also need to track what you changed and why, and who achieved that functionality. This prompt adds editing capability, but only for PM roles with a complete audit trail. And what I'm telling that was creating new feedback edits. Every change gets logged. Who changed, what, when, and why. For PM role, add edit buttons. Executives should not be editing data. They consume insights. PMs refine them. Edit model with drop down to change category, exterior for summary, and reason for change. The reason field is crucial for team transparency. And as I had submitted, now I should see the edit functionality once it built this. And I had also mentioned when PM save the changes, update the original feedback record with the new values and insert whatever the audit record in the feedback edits table with the old and new values so that you see what has changed and it should show you a success message saying that the changes were saved and logged. Okay, it was asking for certain database changes based on what we had provided to it and I'm approving it. Okay, it had made the changes and it had mentioned added complete PM only feedback rating with full audit trial. New feedback, edit stable tracks, all changes, edit buttons next to categories, summary for PM role, edit model with validation, green check mark indicators for manually reviewed feedback. Now I should see the edit functionality there. Little edit icons next to the summaries and categories. Let me click one. Nice model with drop down for category, and I can edit the summary, and there is the reason field as well. Let me change this from bug to feature request and add a reason. User is actually requesting a feature, not reporting bug. Okay, save changes. It had failed to save the changes. Let me see what happened here. When I have faced this issue, I try to give a prompt to the lovable saying when I try to edit the category and summary in edit feedback page, it is throwing an error saying failed to save changes. Please try again. After a little bit of analyzing, it has found the issue that the problem is with the is user PM security definer function. And to fix that, it has showed some database changes. I have approved it, and now it is saying it would be able to save properly. I'm clicking on save changes. Yes, it has saved properly. The category got updated, and there is a small indicator showing this was manually reviewed. Now let me check the audit trail in Superbase. I'm going over here, refreshing it in the feedback edits table, and there is my change with the what has been the field changed. Summary, what is the old value, what is the new value, and edit reason. At the same time, it has also mentioned around the category, we have changed it from bug to feature request. And I had also seen, interestingly, it has captured our previous changes as well, even though that has not been reflected on the dashboard. This is professional grade data management. Your team can see not just what changed, but why you made the decision. Now let's see, as we have restricted this to only the PM. Now let me quickly switch to executive role and refresh. Look, no edit buttons. Executives see the refined data, PMs do the refining. That's proper role separation. And I'm publishing the changes. I have published the application, and now this is the final version of the application which we have built. Clicking on view dashboard. So look what we have built in about 30 to 40 minutes. It has started with a simple feedback form. Now we have professional Google authentication with email backup, personal scope configuration that filters everything automatically, role-based dashboards for different stakeholder types, demo mode for friction-free stakeholder presentations, audit trials for data changes, time-based metrics with interactive filtering. This feels like enterprise software, but it is still a prototype you can iterate on quickly. Now, as a complete journey, stakeholder sees the demo mode, sign in with Google, sets their scope preferences, get personalized metrics, can edit data with full audit trials. This is how you transform a prototype into something stakeholders actually want to use in their daily workflow. Before you build this type of applications, let me save you some headaches I have learned the hard way. First, getting the redirect URI wrong in Google Cloud. It must be exactly your Superbase callback URL with auth v1 callback, not your app URL. And you will generally get it here under authentication if you go over the authentication, sign in or providers. And when you have enabled this, here you will have the callback URL. You need to use this, not your app URL. Second, hiding everything behind the authentication. keeping a demo view so people see value before signing in. Friction kills adoption. Third, forgetting to test both email and Google sign-in flows. They handle user data differently. And fourth, over personalizing on the first version. Start with the simple scope preferences. Add complexity later based on actual uses. Now, as we have come to the end of this video, I wanted to tell you something. When I have started creating the video series using the vibe coding, I had thought a lot. Suppose if someone wanted to build a prototype on what they are thinking of for a long time or what they wanted to see as a real application to solve user problem. What are the main things that are needed for that? First, building a simple prototype. And on top of that, with the AI, now everyone is using AI for different type of things, be it for the categorization, summarization, or creating the new content as well. So then I have taken that as the next step, how to integrate the AI API keys into your model. Then I have introduced you how to set up the database by using the Supabase and how to create the backend. These are the things which you have needed. But when you really wanted to test your prototype in the market, one other thing which was needed was user security when someone is trying to interact with your application. And that is where this Google authentication comes into picture. And after the Google authentication, I had taken it into one more step further, showing how you would be able to customize your application as per the role or as per the scope and so on. This is just a demo of what all could be achievable through vibe coding as a sample, and you could do more and more on that. Along with that, when I have introduced you something around how you could edit your category and summary, this is mainly required when you are using AI for the categorization and summarization, because that is where the evolves part come into picture. If you just let AI decides everything and there is no manual tracing over there, there might be a chance where it has done the categorization, summarization wrongly, and that might erode the trust of you. So it is always good to have a manual overriding layer to ensure that you are maintaining the quality throughout your application. Now, as you have seen all this process, follow the similar way of steps to build your own prototype. Set up Google Cloud Console, configure Supabase, add authentication, make something personalized. Even if you just show the user's name and their preferred categories, you will be amazed how much more real it feels to the stakeholders. Then test it with your team or with your friends. Watch their reaction when they log in and see their own customized view or personalized view depend upon your application, what you are building. That is the moment your prototype stops being a demo and becomes a tool they want to use. Most importantly, when it comes to this feedback dashboard, actually using scope configuration yourself. Define what you care about this quarter and let the tool filter for you. You will never go back to manually scanning all feedback. That is where the prototypes really shows its magic and it becomes a tool which you will use daily. Now, finally, this wraps up our vibe coding series where we have built a complete feedback intelligence system from scratch, AI categorization, personalized dashboards, role-based views, and professional authentication. But building tools is only half the battle. In my next series, I will show you the PM reliability framework, exactly how to make sure your AI-powered prototypes enhanced your credibility instead of destroying it in stakeholder meetings. Because the difference between a PM who gets promoted and one who gets questioned is not the idea. It's the execution reliability. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it. And I will put all the Google Cloud setup steps in the description as a checklist you can follow. Thank you.